Scorpio rising, in Navamsha, manifestations. Scorpio to Cancer. The individual embodies emotional healing, often becoming counselors or therapists for others, transforming negativity into positive outcomes. They have the ability to connect with the masses and help heal collective emotional wounds. However, their introverted nature may prevent them from sharing their gifts widely. The challenge is learning to open up and participate in communal efforts rather than keeping to themselves, as isolation can hinder their transformative potential. Scorpio to Leo. Manifestation. Leadership is expressed through law enforcement, investigation, or roles that require enforcing rules and maintaining order. The individual is likely to excel in leadership positions within police forces, detective work, or any field requiring strategic oversight and authority. Their strength lies in their ability to command respect and uphold justice, but they must guard against becoming too controlling or authoritarian, as this can lead to friction in their professional life. Scorpio to Virgo. Math. Life transformation occurs as a result of dealing with health issues, debts, or other challenges that require the individual to confront their vulnerabilities. These difficulties lead to a profound transformation of the self, especially if the ascendant is involved. The individual learns resilience through adversity, often using these experiences to help others or improve their life circumstances. However, they must be cautious of becoming overly critical of themselves or others as they navigate their transformation. Scorpio to Libra. Manifestation, marriage, partnerships, or close relationships play a central role in the individual's personal transformation. Through their spouse or business partners, they experience significant shifts in their worldview and personal development. These relationships often challenge them to balance power dynamics, learn compromise, and grow emotionally. The individual must be mindful of not becoming too controlling or relying too heavily on relationships for their sense of identity. Scorpio to Manifestation. The individual is highly moody and deeply affected by the planetary influences in their chart. For example, if Saturn is involved, they may be extremely moody about work, changing jobs or career paths based on their fluctuating emotional state. They tend to transform their lives repeatedly, often feeling restless or dissatisfied. Their challenge is to find emotional stability and learn to work through their moods without making drastic changes that could hinder their long-term growth. Scorpio to Sagittarius. Manifestation. The individual is drawn to making rules or leading in areas related to research, intelligence, or secretive organizations. They excel in roles that require teaching, managing, or guiding others in fields like cybersecurity, intelligence agencies, or academic research. Their strength lies in their ability to handle complex information and use it to shape policies or strategies. However, they must guard against becoming overly idealistic or detached from the practical realities of their work. Scorpio to Capricorn. Manifestation. The individual often works in secretive government organizations, research and development, or roles that involve creating new rules and policies. Their focus is on building systems that endure, and they excel at strategic planning and execution. They are disciplined and determined, but they must avoid becoming too rigid or emotionally detached in their pursuit of success. Balance between work and personal life is essential for long-term fulfillment. Scorpio to Aquarius. Manifestation. The individual is drawn to technology, coding, and secretive digital work, such as hacking, code breaking, or creating viruses. They may work behind the scenes in the technology industry, contributing to innovations while staying out of the spotlight. They are highly skilled at uncovering hidden information or solving complex technical problems, but must be cautious of using their abilities for unethical purposes. The challenge is to align their talents with a greater good, avoiding secrecy for secrecy's sake. Scorpio to Pisces. Manifestation. The individual struggles with letting go of past grievances or emotional burdens, often holding on to grudges or unresolved issues. This can create difficulties in their personal life, as they may find it hard to forgive or release negative emotions. Their growth comes from learning to let go and embrace compassion, not only for others, but for themselves as well. They must work on cultivating emotional fluidity and adaptability to navigate life's challenges more peacefully. Manifestation with planetary placements: Scorpio to Cancer and Leo. Scorpio to Cancer. Sun. Leadership is expressed through nurturing and emotional depth. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to guide others through emotional support and healing, often excelling in roles that require empathy and sensitivity. They are natural leaders in caregiving, counseling, or therapeutic roles, where their intuition and emotional intelligence can shine. However, they must guard against becoming too emotionally involved or overly protective, which can lead to burnout or controlling behavior. Balancing care for others with self-care is key to their growth. Emotional security is tied to deep emotional connections and the need to nurture and protect others. The individual feels emotionally fulfilled when they can care for and heal those around them, especially in personal relationships. However, they may struggle with emotional boundaries, sometimes taking on too much responsibility for others' feelings. Their growth lies in learning to protect their emotional well-being while providing support to those they care about. Mars. Energy is directed toward emotional caregiving and protection. The individual is highly motivated to support those they love and to create safe, nurturing environments. They excel in roles that require emotional resilience, but they must be cautious of becoming too defensive or reactive in emotionally charged situations. Their challenge is to channel their energy into constructive emotional expression and avoid overprotection. Mercury. Communication is emotionally intuitive and nurturing. The individual excels in roles that require emotional intelligence and the ability to connect with others on a deep, empathetic level. However, they must guard against letting emotions cloud their judgment or communication, particularly in professional settings. Their challenge is to maintain emotional clarity while supporting others through their words. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through emotional connection, caregiving, and nurturing relationships. The individual seeks to grow by helping others heal and feel secure, often expanding their emotional depth through these interactions. However, they must avoid becoming too emotionally dependent on their caregiving roles, ensuring that their growth includes personal emotional development as well. Venus. Relationships are centered around emotional support, nurturing, and deep emotional connections. The individual values partners who offer security and empathy, but must guard against becoming too emotionally dependent or overly protective in their relationships. Balancing their desire to care for others with their own emotional needs is essential for maintaining healthy relationships. Saturn. Discipline and responsibility in emotional matters are necessary for long-term stability. The individual may face challenges or delays in forming emotionally fulfilling relationships, but through patience and emotional resilience, they will develop deeper emotional strength and maturity. Learning to manage emotional boundaries and responsibility is key to their personal growth. Rahu. The individual is drawn to unconventional emotional experiences and caregiving roles, often seeking to challenge traditional family dynamics or nurturing roles. However, they must be cautious of becoming too emotionally enmeshed in the needs of others, which can lead to instability in their personal life. Their growth comes from learning to balance unconventional emotional expression with emotional stability. Detached from traditional nurturing roles, the individual seeks deeper emotional and spiritual fulfillment. They are less concerned with societal expectations of caregiving and more focused on emotional healing and spiritual growth, often feeling disconnected from everyday emotional experiences. Their challenge is to integrate emotional care with spiritual development. Scorpio to Leo. Sun. Leadership is expressed through emotional intensity and a strong sense of authority. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to lead through passion, control, and charisma, often excelling in roles that require power and emotional influence. They are natural leaders in areas such as law enforcement, investigation, or any field requiring emotional depth and leadership presence. However, they must guard against becoming too controlling or authoritative, which can create friction in relationships. Balancing their powerful leadership with empathy and understanding is essential. Moon. Emotional security is tied to personal authority and the need for recognition. The individual feels most emotionally fulfilled when they are admired for their emotional strength and leadership abilities. However, they may struggle with emotional volatility, sometimes reacting strongly when their authority is challenged. Their growth lies in finding emotional balance and learning to manage their powerful emotions with grace and stability. Mars. Energy is channeled into leadership, control, and emotional intensity. The individual is highly motivated to take charge in emotionally charged situations, often excelling in roles that require emotional courage and resilience. However, they must guard against becoming too domineering or forceful, especially in relationships. Their challenge is to balance their need for control with cooperation and emotional sensitivity. Mercury. Communication is confident, expressive, and emotionally charged. The individual excels in situations that require them to inspire and lead others through their words, particularly in emotionally intense or high-stakes environments. However, they must guard against becoming too forceful or dramatic in their communication, which can lead to conflicts. Learning to balance their powerful expression with calm, clear communication is key. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through leadership, emotional expression, and personal authority. The individual seeks to grow by stepping into roles that require emotional courage and leadership, often focusing on helping others through their own emotional strength. However, they must avoid becoming too focused on personal power or control, as this can limit their ability to grow emotionally. Venus. Relationships are intense, passionate, and often centered around power dynamics. The individual values partners who challenge them and help them grow emotionally, but they must guard against becoming too controlling or possessive. Balancing passion with mutual respect and emotional depth is key to maintaining fulfilling relationships. Saturn. Discipline and responsibility in leadership and emotional intensity are necessary for long-term success. The individual may face challenges in maintaining emotional balance and control, but through patience and emotional maturity, they will develop a strong sense of leadership and emotional resilience. Their growth lies in learning to balance authority with emotional vulnerability. Ra. The individual may be drawn to unconventional leadership roles or emotional expressions, often seeking to challenge traditional ideas of authority. They are likely to explore new ways of leading or expressing emotional power, but must be cautious of becoming too radical or emotionally disconnected from others. Stability in leadership and emotional expression is key to their growth. Keet. Detached from traditional leadership roles, the individual focuses more on emotional and spiritual growth than personal power. They may feel less driven by authority and more interested in exploring emotional depth and transformation. Their challenge is to balance their emotional intensity with a deeper understanding of their spiritual path. Scorpio to Virgo. Sun. Leadership is expressed through practicality, service, and attention to detail. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to manage and improve situations through strategic thinking and careful planning. They excel in roles that require problem-solving and analysis, particularly in health or service-oriented fields. However, they must guard against becoming too critical or controlling, particularly when dealing with others. Their growth lies in learning to balance their need for control with trust and collaboration in their leadership. Moon. Emotional security is tied to routine, health, and personal productivity. The individual feels most fulfilled when they are productive and contributing to something meaningful, particularly in service to others. However, they may struggle with anxiety or emotional stress, especially if they become too focused on perfection or controlling their environment. Learning to accept imperfections in themselves and others is key to their emotional well-being. Mars. Energy is directed towards service, health, and improvement. The individual is motivated by a desire to make things better, often channeling their energy into problem-solving and practical solutions. They excel in roles that require hard work and attention to detail, but they must guard against becoming too rigid or controlling in their pursuit of perfection. Their challenge is to balance their drive for improvement with flexibility and emotional awareness. Mercury, communication is analytical, practical, and focused on problem solving. The individual excels in roles that require clear, detailed communication, particularly in healthcare, research, or technical fields. However, they must guard against being overly critical or nitpicky in their communication, as this can lead to misunderstandings or conflicts with others. Learning to communicate with empathy and understanding is key to their growth. Jupiter, growth and expansion are achieved through service, health, and practical learning. The individual seeks to grow by improving their skills, knowledge, and ability to serve others. However, they must avoid becoming too focused on details or perfectionism, which can hinder their broader personal growth. Learning to see the bigger picture while maintaining attention to detail is key to their development. Venus, relationships are built on mutual support, practicality, and shared goals. The individual values partners who are reliable, detail-oriented, and committed to self-improvement. However, they must guard against being too critical of their partner or becoming overly focused on practical matters, which can lead to emotional distance. Learning to balance practicality with emotional warmth and connection is key to maintaining fulfilling relationships. Saturn, discipline and responsibility are essential in managing health, work, and service to others. The individual may face challenges in maintaining a healthy work-life balance, but through patience and dedication, they will develop mastery in their chosen field. Their growth lies in learning to manage their responsibilities without becoming overly rigid or self-critical. Rahu, the individual may be drawn to unconventional methods of health, service, or improvement, often seeking new ways to solve problems or improve systems. However, they must guard against becoming too obsessive about perfection or control, as this can lead to emotional stress or instability. Ketu, detached from traditional ideas of health or service, the individual seeks deeper meaning and purpose in their work. They are less focused on practical results and more interested in spiritual or emotional healing. Their challenge is to balance their desire for inner growth with practical responsibilities in their everyday life. Scorpio to Libra. Leadership is expressed through diplomacy, charm, and a focus on maintaining balance and harmony in relationships. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to mediate and create peaceful solutions, often excelling in roles that require negotiation or partnership. However, they must guard against becoming indecisive or too focused on pleasing others, which can hinder their leadership. Their growth lies in learning to balance their desire for harmony with assertiveness and clarity. Moon. Emotional security is tied to relationships and social harmony. The individual feels most fulfilled when they are surrounded by peaceful, balanced partnerships, both personally and professionally. However, they may struggle with emotional dependency, often relying too much on others for their emotional stability. Their challenge is to find emotional fulfillment within themselves while maintaining harmonious relationships with others.
Mars.
Energy is directed toward maintaining balance, fairness, and diplomacy in relationships and partnerships. The individual is motivated to create peace and harmony in their environment, often taking action to resolve conflicts or mediate between opposing sides. However, they must guard against being too passive or avoiding conflict altogether, as this can lead to unresolved issues. Their challenge is to take direct action while maintaining balance and fairness. Mercury. Communication is diplomatic, charming, and focused on creating understanding between parties. The individual excels in negotiations and interpersonal communication, often using their intellect to mediate disputes. However, they must avoid becoming too indecisive or hesitant in their communication, especially when difficult conversations are necessary. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through partnerships, diplomacy, and fairness. The individual seeks to grow by learning from others and forming mutually beneficial relationships. However, they must avoid overdependence on relationships for growth, ensuring they pursue their own goals independently. Venus. Relationships are the focal point of this individual's life, with a strong emphasis on beauty, harmony, and mutual respect. They attract charming and diplomatic partners, but must be cautious of becoming too reliant on relationships for their sense of self-worth. The challenge is to balance their relationships with self-sufficiency. Saturn. Discipline and responsibility are necessary for achieving long-term stability in relationships. The individual may face delays or challenges in forming balanced partnerships, but through patience and perseverance, they will achieve stable and fulfilling relationships built on mutual respect. Their growth lies in learning to commit fully to their relationships while maintaining personal boundaries. Rahu. The individual may be drawn to unconventional or non-traditional relationships, often seeking partners who challenge societal norms. They may experience excitement in these partnerships, but must be cautious of instability or emotional turmoil if they prioritize novelty over emotional depth. Ketu. Detached from conventional relationship dynamics, the individual seeks deeper spiritual connections in their partnerships. They are less interested in superficial relationships and are focused on finding balance within themselves before relying on others for emotional fulfillment. Manifestation with planetary placements: Scorpio to Scorpio and Sagittarius. Scorpio to Scorpio. Leadership is expressed through emotional intensity, control, and transformation. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to handle difficult situations and lead through crisis, often excelling in roles that require resilience and the ability to navigate hidden or complex dynamics. They are natural leaders in investigative or transformative fields, such as psychology, law enforcement, or crisis management. However, they must guard against becoming too controlling or secretive, as this can alienate others and create power struggles. Moon. Emotional security is tied to emotional depth, intensity, and personal transformation. The individual feels emotionally fulfilled when they are able to connect deeply with others, particularly in relationships that challenge them to grow and evolve. However, they may struggle with emotional extremes or tendencies towards secrecy and control. Mars. Energy is channeled into transformation, control, and emotional intensity. The individual is highly motivated to face challenges head-on and take control of situations that require emotional resilience. They excel in roles that require strategic thinking and handling crisis situations. However, they must guard against becoming too forceful or controlling in their actions, especially in relationships. Mercury. Communication is emotionally charged, strategic, and often focused on uncovering hidden truths or managing complex dynamics. The individual excels in roles that require investigative skills or deep emotional understanding, such as psychology, research, or detective work. However, they must guard against being too secretive or manipulative in their communication, as this can create mistrust in personal and professional relationships. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through emotional depth, transformation, and personal evolution. The individual seeks to grow by facing emotional challenges and embracing change, often experiencing profound personal growth through relationships or crises. However, they must avoid becoming too attached to emotional intensity or control. Venus. Relationships are intense, passionate, and transformative. The individual values partners who challenge them to grow and evolve emotionally, but they must guard against becoming too possessive or controlling. Learning to balance emotional intensity with trust and openness is key to maintaining fulfilling relationships. Saturn. Discipline and responsibility in handling emotional intensity and personal transformation are necessary for long-term success. The individual may face challenges in managing emotional extremes, but through patience and emotional resilience, they will develop emotional maturity and depth. The individual may be drawn to unconventional or intense emotional experiences, often seeking relationships or situations that challenge traditional norms of control or power dynamics. However, they must guard against becoming too obsessive or controlling, as this can lead to instability in their personal life. Ketu. Detached from surface-level emotions, the individual seeks deeper emotional and spiritual truths. They are less concerned with superficial relationships and more focused on exploring the deeper, transformative aspects of emotional connection and personal growth. Scorpio to Sagittarius. Sun. Leadership is expressed through intellectual exploration, vision, and a desire for freedom and wisdom. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to inspire others through knowledge, teaching, or leading transformative journeys. They excel in roles that involve intellectual leadership, such as teaching, philosophy, or leading spiritual groups. However, they must guard against becoming overly dogmatic or idealistic. Moon, emotional security is tied to intellectual freedom, exploration, and a sense of purpose. The individual feels most emotionally fulfilled when they are engaged in learning, teaching, or exploring new ideas, often seeking personal growth through philosophical or spiritual pursuits. However, they may struggle with emotional detachment or avoiding emotional depth in favor of intellectual stimulation. Mars. Energy is directed toward intellectual exploration, learning, and adventure. The individual is passionate about pursuing knowledge, teaching, or guiding others through intellectual or spiritual challenges. They excel in roles that involve travel, learning, or expanding horizons, but they must guard against becoming too forceful or dogmatic in their beliefs. Mercury. Communication is focused on sharing knowledge, teaching, and exploring new ideas. The individual excels in roles that require intellectual leadership or guiding others through philosophical or spiritual discussions. However, they must guard against becoming too preachy or rigid in their communication. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through intellectual and spiritual exploration, learning, and teaching. The individual seeks to grow by expanding their knowledge and sharing it with others, often focusing on philosophy, religion, or higher education. However, they must guard against becoming too idealistic or disconnected from practical realities. Venus. Relationships are centered around intellectual and philosophical compatibility. The individual values partners who share their love for learning and exploring new ideas, but they must guard against becoming too focused on intellectual connection at the expense of emotional intimacy. Saturn. Discipline and responsibility are necessary for achieving long-term intellectual or spiritual growth. The individual may face challenges or delays in their learning or teaching pursuits, but through perseverance and dedication, they will develop mastery in their chosen field. Rahu. The individual may be drawn to unconventional intellectual or spiritual pursuits, often challenging traditional norms of learning or belief. However, they must guard against becoming too radical or disconnected from practical realities. Ketu. Detached from traditional intellectual or philosophical pursuits, the individual focuses more on spiritual exploration and inner wisdom. They are less concerned with conventional knowledge or belief systems and more interested in discovering deeper truths and spiritual growth. Manifestation with planetary placements, Scorpio to Capricorn and Aquarius. Sun. Leadership is expressed through discipline, strategy, and long-term planning. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to handle responsibility and achieve lasting success, often excelling in roles that require authority and perseverance. They are natural leaders in fields like government, business, or management. However, they must guard against becoming too rigid or authoritarian, as this can alienate others and limit their leadership potential. Moon. Emotional security is tied to stability, responsibility, and long-term goals. The individual feels emotionally fulfilled when they are achieving tangible results and progressing toward their goals. However, they may struggle with emotional suppression or an overemphasis on control and structure. They need to learn how to balance emotional expression with their drive for success. Mars. Energy is channeled into disciplined work, control, and achieving long-term goals. The individual is highly motivated to succeed through consistent effort and perseverance, particularly in professional fields that demand discipline and resilience. However, they must guard against becoming too rigid or overly controlling, especially in personal relationships. Mercury. Communication is structured, strategic, and often focused on achieving practical results. The individual excels in roles that require detailed planning, organization, and clarity, particularly in business or management. However, they must guard against becoming too rigid or overly critical in their communication, especially when dealing with emotionally sensitive matters. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through disciplined effort, responsibility, and long-term planning. The individual seeks to grow by mastering a specific skill or field through structured work and persistence. However, they must avoid becoming too focused on material success, as this can limit their ability to experience personal fulfillment and emotional growth. Venus relationships are built on stability, practicality, and mutual support. The individual values partners who are reliable, responsible, and focused on long-term goals. However, they must guard against becoming too emotionally distant or overly focused on practical matters, which can create emotional distance in their relationships. Saturn, discipline and responsibility are central to the individual's approach to both work and relationships. They are highly focused on achieving long-term success and stability, but may face delays or challenges in their personal and professional life. Patience and emotional resilience are necessary for overcoming obstacles and achieving their goals. Rahu. The individual may be drawn to unconventional or risky methods of achieving material success or power, often seeking ways to challenge traditional structures. However, they must guard against becoming too ambitious or overly focused on material gain, as this can lead to instability in their career or personal life. Ketu. Detached from traditional ideas of material success, the individual focuses more on spiritual or emotional growth rather than achieving worldly status. They may feel disconnected from the pursuit of wealth or power and are more interested in finding deeper meaning through their work and personal life. Scorpio to Aquarius, Sun. Leadership is expressed through innovation, intellect, and a desire to create social change. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to think ahead and lead through progressive ideas, often excelling in roles that require intellectual or technological advancement. They thrive in leadership positions where they can challenge traditional norms and introduce new systems. However, they must guard against becoming too detached or overly idealistic in their leadership style. Moon. Emotional security is tied to intellectual freedom, innovation, and contributing to a greater cause. The individual feels most emotionally fulfilled when they are engaged in meaningful intellectual work or contributing to societal progress. However, they may struggle with emotional detachment or avoidance of emotional vulnerability as they prioritize logic over feelings. Mars. Energy is directed toward innovation, technology, and social reform. The individual is passionate about creating change through intellectual pursuits and is driven by the need to contribute to the greater good. However, they must guard against becoming too radical or disconnected from practical realities, especially when their ideas are not easily accepted by others. Mercury. Communication is innovative, sharp, and focused on intellectual and technological advancements. The individual excels in discussions about progressive ideas and thrives in environments that encourage open-mindedness and exploration of new concepts. However, they must avoid being too detached from emotional concerns or becoming too radical in their thinking. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through intellectual exploration, innovation, and social progress. The individual seeks to grow by learning new ideas, embracing technology, and contributing to the advancement of society. However, they must guard against becoming too idealistic or disconnected from practical applications of their ideas. Venus. Relationships are centered around intellectual connection, mutual respect, and shared goals related to societal progress. The individual values partners who are intellectually stimulating and aligned with their vision for the future. However, they must guard against emotional detachment and ensure they invest emotionally in their relationships. Saturn. Discipline and responsibility are necessary for achieving long-term success in intellectual or social pursuits. The individual may face challenges or delays in bringing their innovative ideas to fruition, but through perseverance and dedication, they will create lasting change. Their challenge is to balance their idealism with practical action and emotional engagement. Rahu. The individual may be drawn to unconventional intellectual or social paths, often exploring radical ideas or innovative solutions that challenge traditional thinking. However, they must guard against becoming too extreme or disconnected from reality, as this can lead to instability. Ketu. Detached from conventional intellectual pursuits, the individual focuses more on spiritual growth and finding deeper truths beyond societal norms. They are less concerned with traditional knowledge or intellectual success, and more focused on exploring the deeper, philosophical aspects of life. Manifestation with planetary placements, Scorpio to Pisces. Sun, leadership is expressed through compassion, creativity, and a deep understanding of emotional and spiritual dynamics. The individual seeks recognition for their ability to guide others through emotional or spiritual challenges, often excelling in roles that require empathy, healing, or artistic expression. They are natural leaders in fields like counseling, spiritual guidance, or creative arts. However, they must guard against becoming too emotionally involved or losing themselves in the process of helping others, which can lead to confusion or emotional exhaustion. Moon. Emotional security is tied to emotional and spiritual fulfillment. The individual feels emotionally fulfilled when they are able to connect deeply with others and contribute to their emotional well-being. However, they may struggle with emotional boundaries, sometimes absorbing too much of others' emotions, which can lead to emotional overwhelm. Learning to manage their sensitivity and protect their emotional well-being is essential. Mars. Energy is directed toward emotional caregiving, spiritual pursuits, or creative expression. The individual is motivated by a desire to help others, often excelling in roles that involve emotional healing, artistic creation, or spiritual work. However, they must guard against becoming too emotionally drained or losing focus, especially if they are overly absorbed in others' problems or emotions. Learning to manage their emotional energy is key to their success. Mercury. Communication is imaginative, empathetic, and often focused on emotional or spiritual matters. The individual excels in creative writing, counseling, or any field that requires emotional intelligence and sensitivity in communication. However, they must guard against being too vague or unclear in their communication, especially when practical matters require clear and direct responses. Jupiter. Growth and expansion are achieved through spiritual exploration, emotional depth, and creative expression. The individual seeks to grow by helping others and expanding their understanding of emotional or spiritual truths. However, they must guard against becoming overly idealistic or losing touch with practical realities in their pursuit of emotional or spiritual fulfillment. Venus. Relationships are centered around emotional depth, compassion, and shared spiritual values. The individual values partners who are emotionally sensitive, compassionate, and spiritually aligned with them. However, they must guard against becoming too emotionally dependent or sacrificing their own well-being for the sake of their partner, as this can lead to imbalance in relationships. Saturn. Discipline and responsibility are necessary for achieving long-term emotional and spiritual growth. The individual may face emotional challenges or delays in finding emotional or spiritual fulfillment, but through patience and emotional resilience, they will develop deeper emotional strength and spiritual understanding. Rahu. The individual may be drawn to unconventional or mystical emotional experiences, often seeking deeper spiritual or emotional truths. However, they must be cautious of being too idealistic or disconnected from reality, as this can lead to confusion or emotional instability. Ketu. Detached from material concerns, the individual focuses more on emotional and spiritual growth. They are less concerned with worldly success and more interested in exploring deeper emotional and spiritual truths. However, they must ensure that they remain grounded while pursuing their emotional and spiritual journey, balancing their inner exploration with practical realities.